What is up, and welcome back to another episode of Blood and Beer, the show where we talk blood sport and we drink beer. I'm your host, Matt, and as always, we got some MMA to talk. We're going to be talking some boxing today also, and we're drinking some Bud Light, official drink of the UFC, who put on a phenomenal card in Denver last night. We'll get into that in just a second. First things first. Our bets on this card, we did pretty damn decent once again. Last week we were up, I think, 126 or so, 126.50. This week we went up 350, 341, and I fucked up again. I forgot to bet $100 of the 1,000 we put up. So on the year, we've only actually put up 1750. We were supposed to be putting up 2,000, but I fucked up two cards in a row. Our profit this year is $479.91 right now on the last two cards alone. So that's where we're going. Follow these picks, baby, because the dogs are barking and I'm getting some dubs over here. Now, like I said, phenomenal card. Did not disappoint. Name power, it wasn't there. But the matchups, the fights that were put on, fucking phenomenal. The announcers, even the ringside announcers, did a great job. Dominic Cruz was just out there fucking calling shit out, and it was Mystic Dom. He said, look for the straight shots. Straight shot puts a guy down 2 seconds later. It was phenomenal. Like I said, we're going to get into all that. And then also, after we finish talking about the UFC Denver card, we're going to be looking at some rumors we hear in the boxing circle, some confirmation of some things, and some big UFC fight announcement. So, without further ado, let's get into this UFC Denver Namajunas versus Cortez. Now, the main event, it was super competitive. It went about the way I thought it would, except for I was expecting Tracy Cortez to gas out, especially after the bad weight cut where she had to cut her hair. And, she's gassed out in previous fights in 3-rounders. This was a 5-rounder. And Rose just kind of went out there, showed she's a little better everywhere. And I thought she really just... It wasn't close for the first 4 rounds. 5th round, I thought Cortez won. Namajunas had a knockdown in there. But this fight doesn't really tell me much other than Cortez, the real deal, might be better when she gets a full training camp for someone like Rose. And Rose is one of the top 5, I'd say. Top 5 flyweights, but I wouldn't say she's going to be able to compete with girls like Manon Fiorot or Valentino or Alexa Grasso. I don't think that she's there yet. I think next for her, we got to see her Rose versus Erin Blanchfield, how she does with that wrestling and that kind of pressure. If she can get past that, she might be ready. But this is definitely the best Rose has looked at 125. It's just short notice, Cortez, weight cut, elevation, all the factors going into it. This fight just didn't tell me much. And then in the co-main event, though, moving on from that one, we got Santiago Ponzinibbio. He dropped a split decision to Muslim Salikov. A lot of people online were saying it should have gone to Santiago. He clearly won. And even at the betting table, it was like plus 2,000 to 1 after the fight was over for the fight to go to Salikov. But that's where it went, split decision to Salikov. I don't have any problem with it. I could have seen it going either way, but I did think that Salikov was landing the more damaging shots. He had wobbled Ponzinibbio a few times, never knocked him down. Another fight I didn't get a whole lot of. It's not normal for a UFC card where I'm more excited for everything except for the main event and co-main event, because everything from there on out was really phenomenal on the main card. So we had Drew Dober. He took on Jean Silva. Jean Silva turning around 2 weeks' notice. He just knocked out Charles Jourdain on UFC 303. Moves up a weight class to 155 to take on Drew Dober, who's a fucking warrior. Dude brings it. Starts these brawls. He gets in there. He trades with you, and he's got some power. He's got the second most knockouts in lightweight history. And this fight was fun as fuck. These dudes were trading crazy shots. Silva landing elbows, landing these nasty left hooks, which just split Dober's eye open. It ended up stopping the fight. But another thing that Jean Silva was doing phenomenally, at the end of exchanges, he was throwing a spinning elbow that seemed like it was landing just about every single time, knocking Dober down with him. Fucked him up. But yeah, in the 3rd round, the cut that was caused by all the hooks Silva was throwing, it was too much. They had to wave it off. Dober was still ready to go, but I mean, the thing was massive, nasty, gashing. It was good call to stop it, because there was no good that could have came of it. Jean Silva, though, this dude's a fucking problem, because he didn't just win because of the cut. This dude's coming up a weight class, and he actually looked like the tougher guy in there. They'd get in the clinch, and he would chuck Dober off of him. I mean, you'd see him take a couple steps from how hard Silva was throwing him. Dude was cracking him with his shots. He looked like he was faster, better counter puncher for sure, more power in his punches and his kicks. So Silva, he's going to be a problem at 2 weight classes. This fight got fight of the night bonus. Of course, it was fucking phenomenal. Blood fair, blood war. Loved it. Loved the fight. So $50K each. I can't wait to see Silva back in there. Maybe another 2 weeks off, and we'll get to see him go right back at it. And then we had Julian Erosa taking on Christian Rodriguez, C-Rod, top prospect in the UFC. He took out Raul Rosas Jr. They're escaping me now. He's taken 3 people's O's, 3 top prospect O's. This dude's a beast. He's normally a 135er, and he came up to 145 to take on Julian Erosa, who's huge for 145. And he's a seasoned vet. He's got 40 fights. It's his 3rd stint in the UFC. He won the UFC, or the Ultimate Fighter, I think it was 22, not positive on that. But Julian Erosa, he goes out there and does what he does. He turns it into a war. He takes some shots. The only way you're beating Julian Erosa anymore, it seems like, is to get him out of there early, or else he's going to bring the war to you. And that's what happened. C-Rod, he was rocking him a little bit, but he shot a takedown, and Erosa immediately shot for the guillotine. He jumps it. And it was first round. They're still dry. There's no sweat to slide out of that guillotine to kind of slip out. So Julian Erosa pulling off the upset. Big upset for us right there. Plus 170 for Julian Erosa. I was pumped for that. I love to see the dude fight. I love to see his fighting style. He's a warrior. Goodness gracious. Then we had Charles Johnson knocking out Joshua Van, another rising star in the UFC. People had huge hopes for him at 125. He's I think he was 11-1 coming into this, and the fight was fun. Van was catching Johnson with short shots. Johnson was doing a really good job popping his jab and keeping him at distance. He didn't use his teat kicks like he usually does for a jab. He just was popping his left hand out there like a jab, and he looked phenomenal out there, fast, just looked like he was in his flow state. 3rd round, he comes out, he throws a nasty left hook and then an uppercut and just knocks down Van, follows it up with the ground and pound and finishes the fight. Another big upset on that one. And I picked Charles Johnson on that one also, so we're making some money over here, baby. Vets were having a night that night. And then we also had Jasmine Jasdavicius. She, another vet that had a night. She took out Fatima Klein, unanimous decision. She out-wrestled her. Klein moved up a weight class from her natural weight class. She had flashes in there. She looked good in the striking, but in the grappling, Jasdavicius was just too big. She'd get top control, and Klein would get out and then end up right back on her back. So Jasdavicius gets kind of a boring finish, or a boring win, but she did what she had to do against a rising star. I was really high on Klein, but I knew it was a tough test moving up in weight against a weight bully at that division anyways, in Jasdavicius. So is what it is. She lost. We lost. We move on. And then Cody Brundage, his fight versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan was stopped at 27 seconds due to ARAs. Abdul Razak Al Hassan's elbows to the back of the head. Dan Mergliotta said stop once. He did it again, so they stopped the fight, and Brundage said, "What happened? What happened?" He acting like he didn't know. He probably didn't. They were hard fucking shots. But this is the second time this has happened to Cody Brundage. He shoots a single leg, you hit him in the back of the head, and he calls foul. So they stopped the fight, no contest, and it hasn't been confirmed yet, but I have heard rumblings that the UFC removed Cody Brundage, so they must have canceled his contract after last night's showing. He just hasn't had a great run in the UFC. And then Luana Santos, she easily submits Maria Agapova. I think that was 2nd round. Might have been 1st. Rear naked choke. Agapova, real fall from grace. She was once the biggest favorite in UFC history, I think, and she actually lost that fight against Shauna Dobson. And then she's saying she was homeless, she was sex trafficked, or they tried to sex traffic her. A lot going on. Sounds like she might be on some drugs. I don't know. Maria Agapova, I don't think you're a UFC fighter anymore. I think we're going to see her cut soon. And then we had Montel Jackson. He absolutely starched Damon Blackshear. I picked Blackshear going into this because at high elevation, I really like the grapplers to wear on you and take out that gas tank. Not necessary in this fight for Montel Jackson. He goes out there, Dominic Cruz said it best right before it happened. He said, watch the straight shots of Montel Jackson. They come straight down the pipe, so fast, so strong. Then he throws a 1-2 straight down the pipe, knocks out Blackshear, follows it up with some ground and pound, but that was not necessary. His head bounced off the canvas. His arms were flailing up in the air. So Montel Jackson looking great. That's 5 in a row in the UFC for the guy. If he's a little more active, I think we're definitely going to see this guy in the top 15 soon, maybe top 10. He's fighting like once a year, once every 14 to 18 months, so we're just not seeing enough of him to get a good sample size. But this dude's a beast. His hands are the size of Francis Ngannou. That's what they say every time we see the guy fight. But goddamn, he knocks people out like he's Francis Ngannou too sometimes. So fucking beast for 125. That's someone to look out for is Montel Jackson. And then we had we got 2 more fights. Andre Petroski, he defeats Josh Frem by decision. Pretty boring fight. He had a safe fight style, just single leg, take him down, lay on him, search for some submissions, but don't overexert yourself and don't leave yourself open for a scramble. He did that, lay and pray for 3 rounds, gets the win, and he explained after the fight why he chose that style. He's coming in on 2 losses prior to this, so he knew that he couldn't take big risks, because if he gets knocked out, then he's probably going to get cut from the UFC. Josh Fremd is a long, lanky dude, got some power in his striking, so he knew that he couldn't take those risks. He had to get the win so he could take more risks in the future for more fun fights. And then finally, like a 2-day notice fight, Evan Elder takes on UFC's favorite trash can, Darius Flowers, tomato can, whatever you want to call him. They seem like they just feed this guy to people short notice to get beat. Feel bad for him, honestly, but Evan Elder defeats Darius Flowers in round 2 with an arm triangle. Alright, so that's what we have for UFC Denver. We'll have another show later this week where we make some picks. For this upcoming UFC Vegas card. I think that's going to be back at the Apex. It's Lemos versus Jandaroba or Jandanoba, however you pronounce it. We'll get into that on the next episode, but today we got more things to discuss. UFC 306, we're finally getting some rumblings of what the main event's going to be and the co-main event. It's been up in the air for a while. UFC's given us nothing. But last night, after the fights ended, the UFC France broadcast fucked up. They said, we got some headlines for UFC 306. We got Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria for the featherweight strap. That's a fucking banger of a main event. And then you're going to make the co-main event Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. I mean, come on, dude. This is going to be fucking awesome. Those are the two top of the card fights. Unless they throw McGregor on there, that would be fucking nuts. He said this card is going to be like nothing you've ever seen. They've been going all out this year. You think about UFC 300, you think about 303, and now 306 is going to be fucking nuts. I'm sure when they go to Abu Dhabi on 308, that's going to be fucking insane. But yeah, O'Malley versus Dvalishvili, Topuria versus Max. What a fucking card. They also have the prelims, it looks like, sorted out. Michelle Pereira's got a fight coming up on there as well, so that'll be fun. But I can't wait to see what else is coming out for this card. It's going to be fucking awesome. They're teaming up with Riyadh Season, who's doing just huge things. And speaking of Riyadh Season doing huge things, Terrence Crawford's next fight is announced for Riyadh Season, and it's fucking awesome. So it's going to be Crawford versus Madrimov. And then we got Isaac Pitbull Cruz versus Jose Venezuela. Isaac Cruz almost beat Tank Davis. I thought he did beat him in their fight, but is what it is. He didn't get the nod. And you got Tim Tszyu versus Virgil Ortiz and former champ Andy Ruiz taking on Jarrell Big Baby Miller. So huge card. Turkey, whatever his name is, he's fucking just saving boxing. Riyadh Season saving boxing, because I've never seen a boxing card this stacked. It's normally top heavy. You got 1 or 2 good fights and then a bunch of dog shit. People making $2,000 to $5,000 a fight. Just not what you want to see. So I am so happy that this is going to be happening. August 3rd, that one is. So yeah, I can't wait for that card. I think it butts up with UFC over in Abu Dhabi for their fight night, or UFC on ABC, but is what it is. And then finally, we're hearing some more news about the Tank Lomachenko fight. We're getting some more rumblings. They've been going back and forth. We've been hearing that they're going to fight. We don't know when. Nothing's been signed. We don't even know if they will. Well, now we're starting to hear that it's probably going to be in November when it does happen. So that's going to be a great fight also. Super fight, honestly. Tank, he's never fought a dude like Loma. Never fought a dude with that speed, with that power, with that fight IQ, the footwork that he's got. And Loma, the power that Tank has, it's a game changer against anyone. I think Loma gets it done if they fight. I'm a huge Loma fan. I love the technique. He's so elusive, so hard to hit, and he can hit you from anywhere. So yeah, I can't wait for that one. But that's all we got for you today for Blood and Beer for our combat sports show. So appreciate you tuning in. This has been Matt, and hope you have a great day. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What fights do you want to see in boxing and UFC coming up? We'll talk about that on the next show maybe. And what'd you think about this last card? What was your favorite fight? I love Dober versus Silva. I love DeRosa versus Rodriguez. I love making money on these dogs, baby. Johnson versus Fan. It was a great card. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time later this week for UFC Vegas breakdown. We'll make you some more money. We're up big 2 weeks in a row, baby. 2 weeks in a row.